call this meeting of the Committee of the Whole to order at 6:35. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Allen.
Here.
Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Doherty.
Here.
Mr. Burchett.
Here.
Mrs. Witt.
Yes,
Ms.
I'm here.
Marcus.
Here. Committee of the Whole meeting minutes, February 23rd. If there are no changes, corrections, they will be approved as they are. Hearing none, they are approved. Finance Director, do you have anything?
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
City Manager,
I have nothing, Ms. Marcus, thank you.
Mayor,
I have nothing at this time, thank you.
Law Director,
No report, thank you.
Clerk of Council.
I have no report at this time, thank you.
We will go into business. The first item is the police and fire dispatch radio consoles and related equipment.
So we knew this was coming, budgeted item. State is changing some of their equipment. Firing. Very much. Sorry, thank you. We knew this was coming. This is a budgeted item. The state is changing some of their equipment to the Marks radio system. It's going to require us to make some changes here locally for our dispatch center. There's some switches that are getting swapped out, and then the actual radios that we use in the dispatch center have to be replaced. The radios and the workstations that surround them. Motorola is a sole source supplier for this equipment. They have give us a price of $369,697. We budgeted over that, so it's going to should come in under budget. And I would request legislation to go ahead and spend that money.
Do you have any questions or comments?
I took some pictures if anyone's interested in seeing the current state of the dispatch center and what's actually going to get swapped out, but it's probably more than you want to know, so.
I'll make a motion that we have legislation drawn up to get the radios changed over at a price of $369,697.
Any other questions or comments?
Hey,
Roll
just a
call,
quick
please.
question, please. What's the timetable on it?
So they would prefer us to get it done this year. They're going to, we have to, they want us to order the equipment before March 21st, I think is what it is. There is a price increase on March 21st.
Okay.
So if we get it, the resolution passed at the first council meeting in March, we still have a week or so to get the PO in order to them. But there is kind of a timetable. Because our dispatch center and our side of the police department's getting torn apart soon, they're going to just order the equipment and hold it. And then whenever the bulk of the work is done for our remodel, then they're going to come in and put it in.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Doherty.
Yes.
Mr. Burchett.
Yes.
Mrs. Witt.
Yes,
Mrs. Allen.
Yes.
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. The second item is a CIT co-responder.
Thank you. So for the last several years, there's been a trend in law enforcement of having a certified clinician, a crisis intervention technician, someone who's certified in overdose treatment, counseling, mental health treatment, to actually be embedded with the police department and ride along with the police officers, and then follow up on those calls to help that individual in crisis, whatever that crisis may be, help them later find the right services, get to the right doctor. And what that does is it relieves strain on the police and fire service, it relieves the strain on the local hospitals, relieves the strain on the jails. So very successful program. So for the last several months, the TCSU chiefs have been talking about a way to spend the opioid settlement money. And we've come up with this idea of 5 of the 8 agencies. Some of the agencies already use a CIT co-responder with their departments. So 5 of the 8 agencies would like to share 2 co-responders. We think 2 co-responders would be good for the workload that the 5 agencies would have. We'd like to contract, we've been in talks with South Community. South Community provides these to other agencies. They provide one to the city of Kettering, they provide one, Butler Township and Vandalia share a co-responder, kind of like what we want to do. So the 5 agencies would like to go ahead with and proceed with spending the opioid settlement money to pay for a share of our co-responder. We would run it, we met with the city managers, I think most of the city managers were on board. We would run it through the MVCC, so right now, and I didn't include it in the packet, we just got a draft back. So Moraine would be responsible for about 9% of the costs, because they're going to do a per capita. And a 3-year contract would, if I did my math right, a 3-year contract would be under $40,000, 38 and change, I think, would be our cost. And that's well under the city manager's threshold to spend. But at the end of the day, we would ask for a resolution for the city manager to enter into this agreement between the MVCC and South Community. And then I'm not sure if we need a second resolution to actually spend the settlement money.
It's a special fund, so I believe that we do.
So I would ask, if that's required, I would ask for those 2 things.
Would we get enough back from the opioid settlement fund to cover the 40,000?
So right now, we have about $100,000 in that fund.
Moraine does.
Moraine does,
Okay.
yep. Over the next 4 years, we will have an extra $100,000 in that fund. So it's well within our budget. Even if 3 years down the road, and if we want to change the pricing structures, that maybe, I don't know, Moraine is using more workload from the crisis person than Centerville or Oakwood, then maybe we change that, and we can still, the way it's funded now, we could fund it for at least 10 years.
Wonderful.
So a 3-year contract is no issue.
Right.
And we're still looking for other kind of neat ways to spend that settlement money, because there's very limited ways we're actually allowed to spend it, or what we can focus on. And this is one of those allowed expenses, so I would ask for those 2 resolutions.
I'll make a resolution, or 2 resolutions for the CIT co-responder.
Any other questions or comments?
Again, I would just like to clarify what Chief said, that this agreement would be the jurisdictions with MVCC. MVCC then would have the direct agreement with South Community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Doherty.
Yes.
Mr. Burchett.
Yes.
Mrs. Witt.
Yes.
Mrs. Allen.
Yes.
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. That's all we have for business. Do we have anyone who wants to appear before council? Do we have anyone from staff who has anything to say? Any updates?
Hey, come on, come on, come on. Ah,
We held our annual awards ceremony yesterday, and just wanted to congratulate Alex Gamble on being selected as our Officer of the Year. So he works hard and does a great job, and we very much appreciate everything he does, so,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's tough to follow. As everybody knows, that we've got the construction going on at the city building. We had our bi-weekly meeting today, and one of the things that was brought up was the timing and when things are happening at the building. And one of the things that's a concern of mine is looking forward into May, when we would potentially have Memorial Day. The front parking lot will be really non-accessible for parking when we would potentially have a Memorial Day ceremony. So also, when they are doing the construction part of it, the front pedestal lights that line the sidewalk will be all torn up during that time. So I want to bring up the idea of what are we going to do for Memorial Day, because it will be very difficult for us to have it there in front of the building.
You can move it over here.
We can move it over here, we can do a video like we've done before. I'm just trying to get a
Well,
little bit of
that's true.
guidance because once we get into April, we're gonna be really, really hot and heavy on the 60th anniversary stuff, which is also that subsequent weekend
The
in May.
next weekend.
So I want to get an idea of what do we want to do. We had talked internally, staff-wise, about could we help volunteer for a veteran? Could we do care packages for veterans? Could we do something like that? Or for even the active military right now? Or do we want to do a ceremony? Do we want to do, what do we want to do?
Yeah. With everything else that's going on, I think the video would be good.
Do you have any recommendations, Aaron?
I don't, I mean, I'm open-ended. I do know that in years past, a lot of people have kind of indicated that, you know, the ceremony is nice and everything, but it doesn't really help any of the active military or the veterans at all, because it's just a ceremony. And in years past, you've seen some of the numbers kind of fluctuate, where the general public's not really actually coming to the ceremony. It's only the people that are getting a brick dedicated, or maybe like a family member or something. It's a lot of staff, it's a lot of the council, and so I'm open to whatever suggestion. I just want to put it out there because I think we need to figure out what our plan is for that, as opposed to waiting for another couple weeks.
You say sending care packages to veterans?
We could.
How would you get the names and addresses?
We wouldn't necessarily send them directly to an individual specifically. We would take donations here. We could do like a casual for charity thing like we do, where we donate money towards different organizations. We could take that funding and then take it and go give it to the base or the VA or somebody like that.
Wouldn't be very personal, though.
I kind of like, I'm glad you brought this up. I was
Yeah.
going to bring it up later for maybe you appear at the next Cal, but I'm glad you did
Yeah.
it tonight. Aaron had sent me an email with some of these ideas. I had bought 2 bricks for 2 senior citizens that work out here that are veterans. And what I would love to see if we did a video, if we don't have the actual event, which I can understand due to logistics and safety, is to incorporate their photos and the little bit said about them in that video. And then we could show them the bricks on our own time together, yeah.
Yeah, and we typically do that at the normal ceremony. Anytime there's a dedication, I try to contact them and get a hold of a couple photos, and then we have their information announced during the actual ceremony, and then it's also in the video. I would actually like to take that a step further, though, and do something more intimate, like the Thursday closest to the Memorial Day or Veterans Day holiday, invite them to our council meeting. And we can do a brick setting ceremony where we can take them out and they can actually help us place the brick into the ground. If they want to take photos right then and there, they can. And then we wouldn't necessarily have to do a huge ceremony on the actual day.
I like that idea.
That's a good idea.
How could we have them at the council meeting when the bricks are over at the city building?
We would invite them to like that closest Thursday meeting, right? So we would just say, could you meet us at 5:00 on whatever that Thursday is? It wouldn't necessarily be like this year. We could do it this year. We would just have to pick a different time. Once the bricks arrive, we could do it. They usually arrive sometime mid-April. So we
But
could
then
pick
you'd-
just a random Thursday in mid-April.
You'd have the same problem, you couldn't get into the parking lot.
The parking lot construction starts in, help me out here.
So you could possibly park in the new expansion parking lot that we put it in. I feel that we hold off a year to bring the public in to set any bricks. I just think we're dealing with electric that's going to be open. Let's just hold off 1 year. We can still celebrate them next year. We can celebrate them in the video and still bring them, invite them here to the council and honor them in that way and just invite them next year to install the brick. That's my opinion.
Well, actually, Memorial Day is not for the living veterans, it's for the ones that have given their lives.
Right.
Correct.
So, yeah, so Veterans Day in November is when we celebrate veterans.
Yeah, things could.
So we couldn't invite the veterans
Yeah.
because they're still living.
And we'll look pretty good come November. It's just, We're right in the thick of it right now.
So let's do the video in May and set the bricks in November.
We can do that, I mean.
I mean, that's just my opinion.
I've got a 97-year-old, and I'm not sure if they're going to be around then. I mean, I like the idea of holding off on
Scratch
that.
that from the minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, they could come in May to our council meeting and do the presentation, but then set, oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I love the idea of the, having them here and having them in the video, and then set the brick, and then on our own time, we can go over and show them that it's in
Yeah,
place,
yeah.
because I fear
That would work.
holding at least
Right.
up till November in that case.
And who knows? I don't want to speak and say there won't be a pathway that we could get over. It's just,
Yeah.
Right.
we're at construction's mercy here of when we can get it in, when rain ain't raining, and we can, that's my concern is, I don't want to commit to something and it's unachievable.
Snowing.
Don't say that.
It has before.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll invite them to the council meeting. We'll do the little video. And then, so we'll try to invite them to council meeting prior to Memorial Day. And maybe we can just plug a couple clips of them here in the actual meeting into the video during that point in time.
And not, yeah.
And then not do
We
a
need to
ceremony this
show
year.
That they're placing the bricks. Do that, maybe Veterans Day, if there's, like from what you said, if they're still around.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, guys.
That'll work.
Well,
Thank you.
they'll know the brick is there.
Right.
Thank you, Aaron.
Does anybody else have anything?
Hey, I just wanted to give an update. Front of the PD, I don't know if you've noticed, we hung signs, basically saying, hey, dispatches, the window's closed down. The front of the building has no access anymore. If you have an emergency or you need somebody to come out and speak to you over a situation, please, by all means, call the number on the banner on the front of the building, and a police officer will come around and greet you and handle the situation that way. Just a quick update, I kind of went over it with Dave a little bit. Really not a whole lot that you guys would see has changed. We're doing some concrete cutting and the whole front floor of the entryway. Chief has been gracious enough to allow us to make a little noise in there. But they've been jackhammering over there for the last 2 weeks, and finally, we're past that point. But movement is happening, but it's probably not that you guys would notice any. It's running electric lines. We did get a shipment of drywall in, so that's good news. We'll be drywalling areas off probably in the next few weeks. And I'll provide pictures here probably in the next couple council. Once I can show you some changes beyond just an empty shell.
Rocky, I think they'd like to see how it was gutted. I know most of the metal studding is up, kind of
Yeah, and I have
realigning
pictures
all
right
that.
now. Yeah.
At a future meeting, I think that would be good for
Yeah,
council to see.
that's why I'm
Yeah.
trying to get it to where there's enough changes that you guys can see the befores and, yeah.
Steps.
Are we on schedule?
We're actually ahead of schedule.
Good.
That's why we're closing the front of the building down
Good.
faster. So we're trying to be as accommodating as we can to Greater Dayton, so that way we can roll on faster without trying to hurt us in the same IT, getting their cameras and stuff out of the way, so.
Are we 1 month ahead, 1 week ahead?
They would like me to not even say we're ahead. Just because if a hiccup happens later down.
That's true.
Right,
We don't want to set expectations
Right.
high, and then we run into a situation. So
right.
we do feel like we're ahead of schedule right now, but to say how far ahead, I would hate to put it.
That's
I
kind of.
mean, I have it, I know it, but I would hate to put that out there and say, hey, we're X amount of days ahead.
There could be hiccups with labor or supplies coming in.
For
They
sure.
could stall it later on,
Yeah.
but right now, it's progressing very well.
Like right now, we have units that are going on the roof that are still on order. They could come in at any day, but they could also be a little late too. So it's, yeah.
As things stand now, Rocky, what would be the estimated date of completion?
So The rough number we're getting is somewhere in September, but then that's really, I can't even really say that number because then the move-in, the move-back happens. The IT department has to go in and do their thing, make sure all the new plugins work, so that way people's computers, as soon as they come back, computers are hooked back up correctly. The camera systems are all where they should be, aligned down hallways like they should be. So there's that number for the keys to be handed over, like a new house being built, it's there, but it also, there again, it's how fast can we get people back in? Do we go in phases at that point? So we're still far enough away that we haven't really wrapped our head around that part of coming back, but yeah, we're still problem solving as we go in things where you're dealing with a building the age we're dealing with and some of the issues that are coming up that, you know, are unexpected.
Well, Murphy's Law says something will go wrong.
Well, I mean, we knew things were, and, you know, we left a fund there for things, like, so, the new restrooms that we're putting in, we're tying the new restrooms in, for the staff restrooms that tie into the main. We go to cut the concrete up and come to find out there's a foot-long crack in the pipe. That if we would have never done this project, who knows what could have happened down the road on this. So there's things that are popping up that it's good for us that we found them, so we don't have later issues, but yeah.
Are we on budget?
We are still on budget right now. I will say there are a few things that worry me, that are kind of, unexpected that have popped up. But I'm doing everything in my power, and I've relayed this to Mike. I am going to try with everything in my power to keep us right on track.
No change orders coming up that you know of?
So far, I'm only looking at one that is an amount that kind of could be troublesome for me. Not as far as me coming back to you guys yet, but just as far as like, it was an unexpected, and I hate to really get into it very much yet because we're still, I'm working with PD, chief, and we're trying to problem solve before I kind of lay it out and let you guys know what's really shaking up on it, because we're, who knows, we may not have an issue or we may. We're still working it out. But the other little things is like the pipe cracking. That was unforeseen, that wasn't in the bid. So those are kind of smaller things that I think we'll be all right on.
Thank you for the update.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll get some pictures when I see a little more progress and I can show you where we started, deconstruction, and kind of where we're at.
Okay.
Anything else?
Do we have any pictures, or will we have some soon, that we can show the residents as far as what's being done?
So Mr. Miller had just approached me during break and said that he's actually working with somebody to try to make this kind of like a small documentary.
Yeah, MVCC, Liberty mentioned that when she was here filming Profile Moraine, that MVCC wanted to actually put together a show, a TV show on the whole sequence, when we started, tearing down, and final product. So she's going to work with Rocky and get video as he progresses for the next 4 or 5 months.
Well, I was just thinking when you show the pictures, that they would be on TV for our regular meeting.
Yeah.
When you showed them to us,
Yeah.
the residents, the ones that watch the meeting, that is,
Yeah, yeah.
the whole
And,
thousands.
and I don't know, it may be something that we put in one of the mailers that we send out, if that's something that you guys may be interested in showing the public. You know, I'm willing to share the pictures that I have.
And the
if that's something.
architect has been taking progress pictures on each one of these meetings, right? I've
Yes,
seen in there that
and Donna
they-
has.
Yeah. yeah,
Donna
right.
Darner has too, so we're trying to document it as much as we can.
Now, I have noticed that what little response we've had on social media about the renovations to the city municipal building has all been very positive. People are agreeing that it needs to be done.
I will tell you, I really think just the quick layout of what I've seen so far, there are a lot of great things that we're doing that is going to be great for the employees, for you guys when you come over and have meetings with us. The front of the building will be, it'll be very pretty. It'll be nice. I'm excited to see the finished product.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky.
Do we have anyone else in staff that has anything to add? Okay. Going to council reports then. I'll start with Mike Doherty.
I have nothing to report, Ms. Marcus. Thank you.
Mr. Miller.
The only other thing, since Aaron brought up, and we got Veterans or Memorial Day taken care of, just remind the shredding event, we never got to it
Yes.
last fall. So as staff considers their various events throughout this year, kick around a few ideas and select one of those or a standalone event to have that community shredding event sometime this year.
Yeah, it was supposed to be during the drug take-back. That's what was decided between me and Amy, which never happened. So yes, I've had neighbors even ask me about it. So I would love to see that happening soon, if possible.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Again.
Thank you.
Oh, you already have it scheduled? Okay. Okay.
We do both together at the same time, I think. I would hope so.
Just read the minutes.
City manager, do you have anything?
I have nothing further, Ms. Marcus, thank you.
Mayor Murphy?
I have nothing at this time, thank you.
Mrs. Witt?
Only to congratulate Gina again. She was sworn in during the two meetings.
Yes.
So welcome aboard.
Mrs. Allen?
I'd just like to echo Mrs. Witt and congratulate Gina on her 2 appointments.
Finance, do you have anything?
I have nothing additional, thank you.
Law director?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Clerk of council? And I have nothing, so this meeting is adjourned at 7:03.